They double team him. Come to Harris with 7. He'll drive. Pull it from 8 feet. Score! Clippers lead by 2 with 4 seconds to go. Tobias Harris with the basket. The timeout taken by the Hornets.
Can you believe it?
A game winner last night and game-changing and life-changing news early this morning for Tobias Harris, who is headed to Philadelphia in a trade deadline eve blockbuster. It has begun. Welcome in. Game Time Live on the air. Matt Weiner, Dennis Scott, a.k.a. 3D, Sekou Smith from NBA.com. Already some fireworks.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Matt. And Sekou, you know this, and Matt, you've been around a long time, that a guy could go to work, hit a game-winning shot, be in the huddle, trying to figure out how do I help my team win, get out the shower and say, hey, man, thank you for that win tonight. Hey, thanks for winning the ball game, but we're getting rid of you.
Bye-bye.
That is, for fans don't realize how tough that is, but and when we say it's part of the business, it really is. I remember being in Orlando, Ronnie Cycli, going for layup line. Where's Cycli at? Oh, he went to use the restroom. Then they come out of the restroom with all of his street clothes. Good to see you guys. I've been traded. So this is the real blunt reality of the business of basketball that sometimes we have no control over.
Yeah, I remember days going to practice, and you would show up on that Thursday and peek your head in the door and be like, who's still here?
Right.
Like, everybody's still here, because you just never know. The trade deadline is filled with so much uncertainty for so many teams. And once you have a big deal break, now you got everybody in the league picking up the phone and finding out what's out there, what might be possible. So everybody goes to sleep feeling a little skittish. Well, not everybody. I guess if you're LeBron James, there are several guys that sleep well.
Sleeping good.
Some guys sleep well, but for a bunch of other guys, that night before the trade deadline, it's nervous. Because think about it. You got to go home and tell the family. You got to pack up. You got to move. You know what I mean? Everything can change in an instant. If that team that you're on decides they found something that's a sweetheart's deal they can't pass up, and you got to get moved. It's just the business of basketball.
Heard the description last night of the Grizzlies locker room where they had taken down Marc Gasol's number in a trash bag half full of stuff and didn't get traded, at least for the moment. That hasn't happened yet, but everybody's on pins and needles this time of year. Well, this deal happened in the wee hours, a 6-player deal that moves Harris along with his buddy Boban Marjanovic. Apparently, they just have to go everywhere together now. You got
to keep the power cast together, right?
You cannot trade for one without taking on the other. Mike Scott comes along as well. The Clippers hauled in Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and rookie Landry Shamet, who, if not for the minimum required, would be leading all rookies in three-point shooting right now. He's the only player on either side not on an expiring deal, by the way. That's always part of the equation here on as the trade deadline approaches. Plus, and this is no small thing, 2 first-round picks, Phillies in 2020, Miami's in 2021. This is you can look at it from both sides and say, okay, I completely get why they did this.
Yes. And I think, to your point, Matt, the Sixers and Elton Brand is like, you know what? I'm trying to figure out, Sekou, how can I put the best talent around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid while they're young, not thinking that waiting 5, 6, 7 years from now, we know the injuries that Embiid's been through. So I'm happy that Elton Brand's been able to communicate with management and say, hey, this is a move that we can make to get better, younger, and possibly keep him, because we know his contract's expiring too in Tobias Harris.
Yeah, it is, and he addresses a number of different needs, among them three-point shooting, and a lot of us were thinking in terms of specialists out there who might be available for the Sixers, floor spacers. Well, this is a guy who shoots it really well from outside the arc and can do a whole bunch of other things on both ends.
Yeah, and he fortifies that starting 5 for Philadelphia immediately, makes them even more of a contender than they were before. And I don't think we could overlook the fact that, think about Elton Brand's career and how many plans he probably had in terms of what he wanted to do and accomplish in his career, derailed by injuries. If you're Elton Brand and now you're in a front office position, the immediacy and the urgency you have to strike now. Like, you can't plot for 3, 4, 5 years down the road in this league. There's no guarantees you get there. Elton Brand knows that better than anybody. They recognize what they have in that roster right now in Philadelphia. Adding Tobias Harris gives them a chance to take another step sooner rather than later.
Not only adding Tobias Harris, but adding Tobias Harris to a starting lineup that already brought in Jimmy Butler earlier this season. Does it change the equation in the Eastern Conference for you in terms of who you like as a favorite to come out of the East?
It doesn't necessarily change who I like to come out as a favorite, but it certainly changes the dynamic, Matt, when you're talking about that Final Four in the East potentially. Boston, Philadelphia, Milwaukee and Toronto, those matchups look completely different now with Tobias Harris added to this Philly starting five. Their depth is still going to be an issue. They've got to figure out what their bench chemistry is going to be. But first five, if I'm relying on that first five to go out and outplay your first five, I think Philly would have the edge right now based on the personnel. J.J. Redick is a fantastic shooter. You worry about the shooting. They got a fantastic three-point shooter in J.J. Redick. And really, Jimmy Butler is not a bad shooter himself from distance. But now you have three other dynamic playmakers and guys who can make plays for themselves and others to give all of that pressure to and let Ben Simmons and J.J. Redick freelance and do what they do.
And that was one of their big problems at the end of games against the Celtics in the second round last year.
Well, and I think now Ben understands that working on his jump shots on something he has to do in the summertime. So as he continues to dominate his position, now they start double teaming. Now that swing is either Tobias Harris or J.J. Redick on the weak side of the floor knocking down shots.